This is a Planning Authority Committee meeting. It's Devonport Council for Monday the May. Apologies are Councillor Viney. We've got an absentee of Councillor Ennis at the moment, but we do have Councillor Shane, Councillor Hollister, Councillor Murphy and myself here. So we do have a quorum, so we'll get started. All persons in attendance to advise that this is council policy are advised to record council meetings in accordance with council digital recording policy. The meeting is live streamed. Are there any declarations of interest from the current councillors on this committee? Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 3 is development reports. 3.1 is 36 Renswood Drive, Poiva. If I could have a move with the recommendation, please.
I move.
Councillor Hollister and a seconder, please.
Second.
Councillor Shane, thank you. Councillor Hollister.
Supporting the recommendation.
Oh, you just need your loss. Thank you.
Supporting the recommendation. I just would like to query on right-of-ways and that sort of stuff that's in there.
That's a question to
Whoever.
Mr. Mountney. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor, there's certainly a note on the planning permit. So the adjoining property to the south, the current owner, where the development application sits, they don't have a legal right of access over number 40. However, it's separate to this development application, but they could have some conversations and potentially obtain that access.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Shane.
Thank you, Mayor. Reading the 2 representations, access is clearly a concern. But as per the planning notes, it's outside this committee's remit, but certainly something that I would encourage parties to discuss and resolve. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we need to put some big people pants on here with respect to this application. Whilst I note that it is only for an outbuilding, however, the notes of the planning authority do stipulate that the landowner does not have legal right to access over 40 Renswood Drive. So I've done some further investigation prior to this meeting. In my opinion, I think it would have been prudent for the applicant to actually gain that approval or authority or access prior to lodging this application, because I think it puts the planning authority committee in a position where we will approve a development application, yet there is no legal access to that site. So I would encourage my fellow councillors to consider very carefully as to whether we do that, because the simple fact being, once we approve it, they're permitted to undertake the development without any legal access. So I won't be supporting this application. The simple fact being, the proponent understands that they don't have legal access to the site location, and I would encourage them to actually go and obtain that prior to submitting this application again, because if we do approve it, we are then putting ourselves in a position as a planning authority that we've approved a development application with no legal access to the site. If you go and have a look at the site, and as is noted in the report, there are issues with respect to their own access, where there doesn't seem to be a formal crossover onto their own property, which is what you'll find on page. This is the report. I can't see it because there's too many other pages. And page 11 of the report seems to be the access point onto the property, where it really doesn't. It seems to be a grass access way to their own property. So therefore, as has been written by the one of the representatives, he has for a period of time been granting access, but he makes it pretty clear that he does not intend to provide legal access to the property. So I don't know how we can approve something when they don't have legal access to it. That's just my understanding. And I've been a big supporter of when we receive recommendations. However, the recommendation is quite clear from the planning officers that as the planning authority notes, that the applicant does not have a legal right to access 40 Wrenswood Drive, and any formalisation of access would be subject to the agreement of the relevant landowner in compliance with the applicable legal requirements. But we have a document that says that they won't do that. So therefore, how can we approve a planning application? That's just my thoughts and that's my understanding. And I would be encouraging the proponent to actually go back and obtain that prior to lodging an application, or else how are they going to do it? And if we approve it, well, are we then exposing not only the proponent, but the adjoining landowner to litigation? Is that what this committee wants to do? So at some point in time, we need to make a decision.
Question.
Thank you. Councillor Hollister.
How do we go with, I can remember an instance in the trade where somebody used to right away, just use land for access for years and years, and in the end, I think the tribunal or whoever handed it over to person that was legalised right away with per Campbell's property out there. No.
Is that a question to Mr. Mountain?
Yeah. So, and I don't know whether that legislation was changed.
Yeah, I guess through you, Madam Mayor, certainly the discretion tonight for the planning authorities to side setback. The site does have an existing access which can be utilised, and the building can still be constructed within their property confines without utilising that access. The applicant's certainly aware of that. In regard to right-of-ways and potentially obtaining legal access, that's a conversation for the owners to take up.
Thank you.
Supplementary question.
Yes.
Supplementary question to that then. If that is the case, why then in the recommendation is it noted that the planning authority notes that the applicant doesn't have legal right to access over 40 Wrenswood Drive in any form, obviously preempting that they would require formalisation of access, which would be subject to an agreement of the relevant landowners in compliance with applicable legal requirements.
Mr. Mountain.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, I guess certainly the intention of that note, it's just an advisory note to let the landowner developer know, look, they don't have a right of access or a legal avenue to utilise that driveway. But certainly in the future, if they want to continue to utilise it, they need to obtain that access. If it becomes an issue in the future, that's a civil issue between neighbours to resolve.
Thank you.
Other question, if I may, Mayor?
Yes.
Have any of our officers been up and visually observed whether there is current access to be able to access the proposed outbuilding?
Through you, Madam Mayor, certainly, look, I've been on site and I've had a chat to the applicant and owners. They're certainly aware of the requirements regarding the neighbouring access. They've got existing access in place which can certainly be utilised. I guess if they just need to upgrade that access.
That's really yeah.
Councillor Hollister.
Can it be conditioned that they do upgrade that access out of the recommendation of this?
Through you, Mayor. So the only discretion that's being looked at tonight is the side setback variation. Matters such as vehicle access, that's not relevant for our building development. We don't have any controls under the planning scheme.
Thank you. If I may make a comment, I did note the letter in from the owner of 40 Wrenswood Drive, so I'm just getting the right address. And I read that saying, I see that the proposed building presumably plans access via my property, although I'm happy to grant intermittent access for the time being. This in no way constitutes a presumption of ongoing access or permanent right of way. I have no issues with the proposed shed as long as the building approval dictates there is no existing right of way, which has been noted. And there's no legal right of way expected in the future for 36 Wrenswood to transfers over the land of 40 Wrenswood Drive. So I took that as the owner is well aware of the situation. I'm assuming the owner of 36 is well aware of the situation, and we're not actually making that judgment tonight. We're working on the setback. Thank you. Further questions from the councillors?
Through you, Mayor, just with respect to that, it does actually state here that the site inspection and review of the recent aerial image confirmed that the primary access to the property is via an informal access over the southern adjoining property at 40 Renswood Drive. That is my argument. It states, the officer's comment states that currently a site inspection review of the recent aerial imagery confirmed that the primary access to the property is via an informal access over the southern adjoining property at 40 Renswood Drive. It is also noted that the subject site contains an existing crossover, which is the one that I stated before. Looks like a quasi, Clayton's crossover. And it's actually just a grass crossover, it's not gravel. I'm surprised that crossover is actually legal, taking into consideration the construction of it. However, that's another issue, not pertaining to this. It is also noted that the subject site contains an existing crossover located within the central portion of the site, which does not appear to be utilised. That's my point. So,
Do you have a question, Councillor Moore?
well, yeah, I do.
Yes.
Can the officer who made that comment please confirm as to whether the access is from 40 Renswood Drive or is it from the existing property?
Through you, Madam Mayor, certainly the property has got an access from Renswood Drive in the central portion. But yeah, when I've been on site, and certainly I've been using number 40 for their access, but that the only discretion being considered tonight's the side setback. The outbuilding, nothing to do with the access.
Thank you.
Through you then, Mayor, with respect to that comment, I understand the officer's comment with respect to that. However, we are in a situation where we are, as a committee, going to approve a development application that quite clearly does not have a formal access point, and does that then position either the current owner of 40 Renswood Drive or the owner of 36 Renswood Drive in a position where they could potentially end up in civil litigation, and council then has provided the impetus for that to occur.
Is that a question again or just a statement, Councillor Murphy?
Take this light, man.
Thank you.
Question.
Councillor Hollister.
At page 11, it shows the black line. I presume that's where the access actually is. If that's the case, it's up to the other party to just stop them using their access, make them go up their own. Gets boggy enough, I'll soon fix it.
Was that a question, Councillor Hollister?
Yes.
That would be correct. Through you, Mayor, also note that that access serves as a right of way to a number of other properties as well, who actually have a legal right to utilise it.
Thank you. Further questions from the councillors?
Just to confirm, Mayor, if I may, is Councillor Hollister asking whether the image that's on page 11 is access to 36 Renswood Drive, or is he asking whether that's access to 40 Renswood Drive? Because I'm a little bit confused with respect to the question he just asked, because the proponent has that access. So I don't think they can block that off and get boggy and therefore restrict them from using it because it's their access point. It's the next one up is the one that is in contention, not the one that's actually highlighted on page 11.
Thank you, Councillor.
If you can just confirm if that's what he's making his question about.
Thank you, Councillor.
It is. So that other bitumen road we can see in the same photo. There's other people off that road. It's actually a road, is it? Or is it just one access to a house?
Mr. Mounsey.
Through you, Madam Mayor, so that access serves purpose through a number of properties have a right to utilise that access. I think there's potentially a telecommunications tower, also a residential property further up behind that block which has an access to utilise it, or a right to utilise it, I should say.
If I can, Mayor, just ask Mr. Mountney, is that the the driveway owned by the representative who has confirmed in writing that he doesn't intend to provide access. Is that correct?
Through you, Mayor, so certainly the representative, yeah, minds they own the access for that section of internal driveway. And there's a number of other properties which have
So
the right to
it
utilise that.
is their land.
It's number 40's land.
Yeah, that's right. And they have made it quite clear that they do not intend, and there is no existing right of way, no assumed right of way, and no expected right of way, and no planned right of way across my property, 40 Rensville Drive in brackets, onto the property of 36 Rensville Drive. Would that be correct?
Through you, Mayor, that's correct.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Thank you, Mr. Mountney. Councillor Hollister, you write it down. All good?
Probably not.
Did you have any further questions?
So is this existing house where they want to put the shed on, virtually landlocked? Or how do they get onto it?
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Lunson.
Through you, Mayor, just to clarify for councillors, the shed that's being asked for, currently that house, there is a lot of access from the right of way, and the person that owns the right of way has said in their application that they don't want to formalise that legally. But from the site visit that the planners have taken and from the work that they've done on their assessment, there is sufficient room on the property that has applied for the shed to be able to formalise their driveway and access that new shed under a new driveway. Now, it's not the first application, it won't be the last application to apply for without their driveway formalised before it's built. Is that correct, Ms. Mounty?
I may then, Mayor, just with respect to
I just wanted to know that Mr. Mountney just agreed just to the microphone, please. Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, that's fine.
Councillor Murphy, did you want to speak now?
Yeah, Mayor, just another question. If that is the case, then why would there be a requirement for us then in the recommendation to note the fact that there is an issue with respect to access? And I acknowledge, yes, there may be precedent or current undertakings that people can access the property. However, we have a representation that says there won't be any permitted or future. And if so, my question would be, why wasn't the applicant encouraged to provide in their application clearly how the proposed development would be accessed? Because that would make the committee a lot more confident in a decision with respect to quite clearly demonstrating how they intend to access the proposed development without the quasiness of what is currently being proposed.
That was a question to Mr. Mountney.
Through you, Madam Mayor, certainly the purpose of that notice just a guidance note to let the applicant owner aware that, look, if they want to utilise that access, which they don't have any right to utilise, they need to get approved to do so. It's the planning discretions I've touched on. We're looking at the side setback variation. That's what the planning authority's discretion is considering tonight.
I'll allow one more question. Councillor Murphy.
And hence the reason why I'm probably concerned with respect to that is the simple fact being we're being asked to consider one aspect. However, there are other aspects with respect to this application, in my opinion, that may necessarily need to be addressed, which can we defer this and go back to the applicant and state to them whether we seek an extension to the 42-day application period to provide additional advice, or else we are putting ourselves into a position where we're approving an application and they can go ahead and do whatever they like without having to do anything.
That would be up to the mover and second.
Through you, Mayor, just to clarify, I guess we've got, as a planning authority, we've got an obligation to assess the application under the planning scheme. Planning scheme, everything is permitted with the exception of this one discretion. So as a planning authority, you're sitting here making a decision on that one discretion. Within the notes, that highlights things that need to be considered, like a roadway, but it also highlights things like they need to obtain a building and plumbing approval and other things. So I think that the roadway and the access is, the notes is nothing more than that, that it's just clarifying that this permit is for the planning aspects and it's giving permission for that discretion, that setback discretion to be approved. And should we not, as a planning authority, approve that, we're subject, it's subject to appeal and could go to TASCAP on that point. So we are determining that, and if council was not to make a decision, we need to go back to the applicant and ask for an extension, which they're not obligated to agree to, and therefore the application could be deemed approved if it expired.
Thank you. And I did note, sorry, I had spoken of it, that Councillor Ennis is in here now. I don't know if you had any questions, Councillor Ennis?
No questions.
Thank you. Further questions from the councillors? If not, I will ask Councillor Hollis to close the debate.
I'm still going to support the recommendations. It's a planning for a additional shed, and as far as I'm concerned, let the owners sort out their own crossover things. If he says he's not going to allow the use over his land, well, it's up to other people to do what they should have done originally. So I'm still in place.
Thank you. I will ask for a vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
I'll have a show of hands, please. All those in favour? Councillor Ennis, Councillor Hollister, Councillor Shan, Mayor Jarman. Against? Councillor Murphy. Thank you. Therefore, it is carried. Thank you, everybody. We'll now say that it is closed at, does anybody have a time? 5:37. Thank you.